Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. It's Thursday morning. We're going to be discussing more fallout from Omid Scobie's book Endgame, reactions around the world, and reactions that we're looking for. Plus, we're going to be talking about some other things in the news as well. So let's get started first with Endgame. Now, we have a situation yesterday on Talk TV, a news channel in Britain. Piers Morgan on his show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, named the two people in the book that are supposed to be the royal racists. As we know, because I've said it myself already, is the King and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The news outlets in Britain up to that point hadn't mentioned them because they didn't want to, spread rumor or whatever. They didn't want to speak badly about the royal family. But Piers Morgan's decision to say the names, well, first of all, don't forget, he lost his job on, I think it was Good Morning Britain, due to the fact that he had called, said he didn't believe anything that Meghan Markle said, called her a liar, basically, and wouldn't apologize and wouldn't back down, and the station fired him for that. And here we go again, the same situation, we know somebody's lying, and trust Piers, he's the guy to call it out again, so that's absolutely fine. And true, for it is the public interest. I don't see why they should have withheld the names of the royals if it was out, because if it was out there around the world, why shouldn't the Brits know what's going on so they can make an informed decision and really understand what's happening? So it's out there. Everybody knows. Now, there's still a question on how it happened in the first place, being leaked in the Dutch version of the book, the names included, where in every other version of the book it doesn't appear. Now, Omid Scobie's saying, and the publisher is saying, oh, it was an editing error. And Omid Scobie's been on American TV and saying, oh, editing error, I didn't do anything. I'm sure they're going to get it all sorted out. And he's just very nonchalant about it. Oh, no big deal. Now, if something so incendiary was attributed to yourself, calling the king a racist, and you didn't say it, and some nefarious person at the publishing house included a whole paragraph that you never wrote, you'd be screaming from the rooftops and suing somebody in the Netherlands for this horrible mistake, and you'd be refuting it and saying, I didn't say that. Those aren't the people. Omid Scobie's just like, oh, an editing error, I'm sure they'll get it sorted out. Oh, well, doesn't fit, doesn't play. And we also know, remember, when he wrote Finding Freedom, how somehow the whole book was leaked in Spain over a week before it was going to be published. I think it was something like a month. So he's used this ploy before. This is nothing more than a publicity stunt. Leak it, including that information, in another country, because he also knows that the Netherlands has much more relaxed rules surrounding the legality of saying something like that, libel laws and slander and those kinds of things. He could get away with it in the Netherlands. So he pulled this stunt. And I mean, even though they started pulling the book off the shelves almost immediately when this was discovered, the damage was done. The information was out there, you know. It was nothing more than a publicity stunt. The guy is a first-class asshole. We knew this already. But now we get to Meghan and Harry, who we know the Oprah interview when Meghan brought this up in the first place. There was one person said something, and this was supposedly a conversation she wasn't even party to. Apparently, this was a conversation that Harry had. Meghan picked it up, and she's telling Oprah, and oh yeah, they were concerned about, there was conversations about concern about what their baby's skin color was gonna be. And of course, Oprah goes, what? What? Is this racist? You know, and Meghan goes, well, you know, if that's the impression you get, well, I can't say it isn't. You know, something to that effect. I'm not claiming to quote her directly, but it was something to that effect. So she left the impression that it was a racist. She may have not used the word racist, but you don't have to. Everybody knew exactly what was being inferred. Everybody could tell. And yeah, of course, the press took it up. And then, you know, here last year when Spare came out and Harry had the interview with, oh gosh, I can't remember his name now, the reporter with ITV that they used to have a very good working relationship with, now not so good. And Harry was asked about, well, you know, these racist claims. You claimed, and he goes, we never said that. Meghan never said that. That was, you know, a fabrication by the British press. He was trying to backtrack it then. You know, you can't say something, take it back, and then rehash it again. And now here with this book, rehashing it again. And now that it's been leaked and now that it's out, if Harry and Meghan indeed had nothing to do with it, if Harry and Meghan indeed were, as we've been told recently, been working on thawing relations with the king and the members of the royal family, they would be coming out and speaking out against Omid Scobie. They would be coming out and speaking out against these claims, saying it never happened. Not, we don't know Scobie and we don't have, you know, we've never spoken to him, never. Well, we know this is a lie to begin with. Like, there's nobody in this story that has any credibility. Scobie doesn't have any credibility. Meghan and Harry don't have any credibility. We know in Finding Freedom, as much as they claimed they had absolutely nothing to do with it, I mean, it came out in court. And Meghan lied, and then she had to apologize to the court. And instead of being charged with perjury, they just, oh, she misremembered. Poor dear. So we know there's no credibility there. And even in the case of letters that she supposedly engaged in letter writing back and forth between her and the king regarding this issue, it's not like you know, and we saw her letter to her dad and leaked it to 5 friends. They leaked it to people, and we know that this is what she does. But in the royal family, it's different. It's not like just like writing a letter to your dad or to a friend. All correspondence like that goes through the royal channels, and any correspondence is immediately filed up in the National Archives. In fact, even Princess Diana, speaking to a royal reporter before she died, reminiscing about the early years of her and Charles's marriage, said, you know, there was a time that we did really love each other and we were committed to each other. And she said, there's letters, they're in the National Archive. Maybe someday they'll be released so people can see that, you know, that there was some love and affection there, at least at the beginning. And so this is the point. These letters would, you know, there's no way Omid Scobie would be able to get his hands on a letter between Meghan and the king. If indeed there was letters to begin with, all we're going on is what Meghan has said, is that she had written the king. There very possibly could be none at all. This could be just another one of her made-up lies, and of course we know the royal family never complain, never explain. They wouldn't address this issue, like they've not engaged with anything. The only one that said anything at all was Prince William, and he was on his way to some engagement, and the press was there, and it was after the book came out or after the interview or something like that. And anyway, and he was asked about these racism claims, and he said directly to the reporter, "We are not a racist family." That's the only thing that's ever been said about this whole thing, and it's been hanging over the royals for 2 years, you know. So Meghan and Harry, if they truly wanted to improve relations with the rest of the royal family, if this information that was in the Dutch version of the book, claiming that the king and Catherine were the two racist culprits of this conversation, if none of this is true, wouldn't you think that Harry and Meghan would come out and refute it? They've said nothing. You know why? Because they were in on it. They wanted this information out. This is a way to do it. Well, we'll just claim it was, you know, a translation error, publishing mistake. It was nothing to do with us. Oh gosh. But they're not coming out and refuting it. That tells you all you need to know. We know it's just Meghan hitting at the royal family. It's Harry hitting at the royal family, and they don't care. And part of the reason they don't care is neither one of them have ever had to deal with the consequences of their actions. And the royal family being what it is and not saying a lot, you know, the public can be against them, but in fact, they still have... They're still making use of their connection with the royal family through the governments. You bet your bottom dollar the American government and the British government are still paying for a portion of their protection because Harry is an important guy. Relations between America and Britain, anything happen to Harry on American soil, oh my God. The American government doesn't want that to happen, so they'll gladly protect him. He's also working for the agenda. Look at all the people that he's involved with. Aspen Institute, Better Up, this and that, his lawsuits, the, you know, freedom of speech and all of these things. He's working for the bad guys. He's a patsy for the elitists that are, you know, want to run the show. And Harry is just enough of a hypocrite that, you know, I mean, and he's stupid. He's not a smart guy. That he'll do anything, you know. And they treat him like, you know, he has some real importance. You know, he's really... So it's a whole thing. Meghan and Harry, yeah, they are being used by the establishment. Meghan and Harry, yeah, they are still being supported by the king as well. Now, here's my next and probably biggest point that we're going to end on. Look at the reaction from the royal family. Nothing. They haven't said a thing. The public is now clamoring. The public is now almost demanding that they do something. We've been calling for, between the public, the wider Commonwealth public and around the world now that have seen what Harry and Meghan have done, the treasonous acts they have been engaged in, the slanderous things that they have said. They have, how many lies in the Oprah interview alone? I think they counted 17 lies, and there's been a lot more since then. The whole thing. The royal family, indeed the king, I think now we're at the point where he can't just not do anything anymore. And this is no longer a private family matter, the way that he has tried to approach it all the way along. The people are going to demand, and the government is going to demand, that the king act, and what he must do is remove all their titles, remove any funding at all, remove them from the royal website, remove Harry from the Counselor of State position he still holds, remove the imaginary children from the line of succession, remove the titles from said imaginary children. He's got to go all out. He's got to cut them off, banish them, you know, absolutely sever any ties at all with them and come out publicly and rebuke them. Short of charging them with treason, this is what he's got to do. And in my video the other day, I said this, and this is going to be a real turning point. This indeed is the end game for Scobie's career, for Meghan and Harry's credibility. Oh, it's done. It's done. And it's could be the end game for the king's reign. As I've stated before, and what I've always thought is he's going to have 2 years. 2 years. And in that time, there's going to be an event that the public will turn against him. Like if he doesn't act, that's it. You either, abdicator will oust you out, and it's going to be William that does it, that pulls the trigger on this one, figuratively, where I'm not talking guns. I'm just saying, William is going to demand action from his father and say, look, the public, we can't go on like this. You've absolutely alienated everyone by still being loyal to this rancorous, cankerous thing you call your son. You got to cut him off. You got to cut him out. It's like a bad cancer. You got to get rid of it once and for all, and you got to make the public understand that you won't tolerate this kind of behavior anymore. And he's not done that. It's going to be William that's going to be stepping up and taking control of this situation. I think, I would imagine in the not too distant future, we're going to have a statement from William. I think this is just kind of what I feel in my bones. I think he's going to have to pick up the ball on this one and say something. Now, it won't be for a few days, indeed, because we've got King Charles at the COP24 climate change conference in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. 3 representatives, three major representatives from Britain that are going to be at the COP24 are indeed the King, the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and the newly appointed Lord Cameron, the previous Prime Minister who's now been brought back into the cabinet as, I think, Foreign Affairs Minister, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, yeah, they're all going to the climate conference in Dubai. They're each taking their own private jet. Can you imagine? They're not like, hey, we could all, chip in and go together, save the planet. No, can you imagine? And every other dignitary that's going to be there is arriving by private jet at a climate conference for I don't know how many days. Super duper high-end security, super duper luxury high-end accommodations and food and entertainment costing millions of dollars for these highbrow elitists that run the show to sit around tables and talk about how they're going to control our lives, how they're going to limit our access to resources to save the world. Nothing in their world's going to change. Look at the hypocrisy of these people. Private jets, all the luxury. Look at Dubai itself. It is like the poster child city. Just bow down to the oil gods. Oh my God, it was a big luxury city built out of sand. Built with oil money, the United Arab Emirates. And the guy that's organized COP24, the director of this year's program, he's an oil guy over there, and he's looking to make deals. This is nothing more than, backroom deals and fancy dinners, and they don't care about you. No matter how much the king crows about sustainable clothing and his Bentley runs on cheese and excess wine. Who the hell has excess wine in this economy? I mean, the whole thing is just, you'd laugh at the ridiculousness of it if you didn't understand that these maniacs are planning your future, yours and mine. To hell with the furnace you have, get a heat pump. This is what they want to bring heat pumps here into Canada. And our climate in the winter is 10 times worse than Britain ever is. And I've heard many, many things said about the heat pumps that are being installed, people putting them in Britain. They don't work. They're very expensive to refit for a heat pump. They don't work. They're cold all the time. Can you imagine here in Canada? The people that are promoting doing this in Canada, have they not looked at what's happened in Britain and said, oh, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea. We got to rethink this because they don't work. They don't keep you warm, and our climate's a lot worse here. No, they go ahead with it. That'll tell you it's all about control. So these control freaks are in Dubai, slapping up champagne and fancy food in fancy hotels, flying back and forth in their private jets, and it's, but they're so smart that they're the ones that have to figure out how we can live to maintain the planet the way they like it. Can't make this shit up, folks. Well, have a good day. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Leave me a comment. Like, subscribe, share this video if you thought it was good. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Links in the description. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.